Now at 9, a unique cancer study on firefighters battling the Palisades fire. Plus,
as cold temperatures stay around, your natural gas bill is probably on the rise, which means less money in your pocket. I'm Anthony Saviello, and I'll talk to you about how you can find relief in these times of hardship.
And President Biden signs 2 executive orders concerning artificial intelligence.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A former Carl Junction school teacher is under arrest for a child sex crime. This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Dow Quick. In a news release tonight, the police chief says authorities have arrested former Carl Junction teacher Craig S. Smith on charges of possessing child pornography and stalking. Police say forensic analysis led to the discovery of numerous images of child porn on Smith's school-issued electronic devices. At last report this evening, Smith was in custody and charges were under review by the Jasper County Prosecutor's Office. In the release, CJ Police Chief Mark McCall says, quote, "The stalking charge is based on a pattern of concerning behavior directed toward a minor student over the last several years." The chief specifically notes the department has not released any images of the minor victim. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy now for a first look at the weather.
Well, we've been warming up a bit over the past couple days, and we're going to continue to do that as we go into your Friday. And our temperatures maybe even a little bit warmer than what we saw today. 54. Average high is 44 degrees, so a good chunk above where we should be. Not near as cold outside right now. We're seeing mid to upper 30s to near 40. And most of us will only drop back into the mid 30s later on tonight. In fact, look at our warm up as we go into Friday. Mid 50s, 55, 56 degrees. Showers along and south of I-44. What this weak wave is going to do is drag in an Arctic front, so we plummet by Saturday morning. And then look at our highs on Saturday, upper 20s to near 30 degrees as that Arctic air rushes in. Plus, on top of that, the winds are going to be really howling for us tomorrow. We're going to talk more about this and the Arctic air here in just a bit.
Catching a few, the price of natural gas could spike as demand outweighs supply. KOAM's Anthony Saviello speaks with experts on assistance programs available for those who might be struggling to pay their bills.
The U.S. Energy Information Administration says in the first 12 days of the year, consumption of natural gas averaged 115 billion cubic feet per day, up from 105 in the same time period last year. Higher consumption means higher prices and could mean more coming out of consumers' wallets.
It's all about the usage, and we know when temperatures drop, it takes more energy to keep our homes and businesses warm.
For some consumers, that bill could be more than anticipated, but there are options for those who may find themselves struggling.
And that can include LIHEAP. That's the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program. And basically, individuals can apply for that. And if they approve, they can get that one-time payment of $326 towards their heating or cooling bill. And right now, heating, of course.
Vonda Cotton with Spire says no matter the reason for hardship, there are assistance options that can fit your needs.
I want to touch on the critical medical needs. Now, that's a program for those who with an existing serious illness or chronic condition. This program basically assists our customers who are experiencing like that medical emergency, and we pretty much suspends the potential disconnection of service up to 30 days.
For those who may feel embarrassed by the idea of asking for help,
never disqualify yourself, or again, as Molly mentioned, feel embarrassed about reaching out. We all we're not unfamiliar with hard times, and we never know what's around the corner.
Anthony Saviello, KOAM News.
People needing assistance can call 211 or go to our website, koamnewsnow.com. The Miami Public Library invited the public out to celebrate literacy and American icon Dolly Parton this afternoon. The Dolly Party kicked off a month-long celebration of the beloved country singer and her contributions to children's literacy. Storytellers were on hand, as well as a variety of games, songs, and plenty of snacks with fellow book lovers.
Very excited. It's my first time. The Dolly Parton Imagination Library is a big part of Ottawa County, so we like to celebrate this amazing program and share it with all the families in Ottawa County.
Since 1995, the Dolly Parton Imagination Library has donated more than 200 million books to promote children's literacy. Joplin Area Transportation Study Organization, also known as JATSO, held a policy board public meeting today at Joplin City Hall. They discussed several strategies and ongoing projects aimed at improving the city's transportation systems. Those include pavement and bridge improvements. One of the most significant points of focus was how to better engage the community in the decision making.
What we're going to try to do is we will be doing Teams meetings so that if someone can't come to the public meeting, they can log on to Teams and they'll be able to view the presentations, they can submit questions, and then there'll be sections designated that we stop and we take some of the questions that we receive from the online participants and answer those so that they'll be able to get real-time information through the process.
If you happen to miss a public meeting, you can always check the Joplin City Hall website for information. Coming up, President Biden weighs in a final time on AI.
Building AI is now a presidential matter. I'm Eben Brown in Miami. I'll have that story straight ahead.
But up first, firefighters battling the Palisades blaze are being exposed to dangerous toxins that could lead to cancer and other health issues. A new study aims to better protect them and future firefighters. How silicone wristbands and blood samples could help. Coming up. The Wildfire Conservancy is performing a first-of-a-kind cancer study on firefighters battling the Palisades fire. This comes after the International Agency for Research on Cancer officially classified firefighting as a carcinogenic profession. Fox's Juliet Smith brings us more details after speaking with the doctor leading that study.
Is the equivalent of a 9/11 scale exposure incident. We need to start treating them like this.
The firefighters battling the Palisades blaze are being exposed to hazardous substances like carbon monoxide and heavy metals, which can lead to cancer, respiratory issues, and neurological damage. The study will collect data samples from these wildland firefighters to find a new and improved way to preserve the health of those who risk their lives to save ours.
This isn't a wildfire where just vegetation is burning. This is, thousands of homes, and a contamination event.
The 50 participating firefighters get their blood drawn, provide a urine sample, and share personal details. They're also given silicone wristbands that absorb contaminants like ash, soot, and smoke that will be tested.
We already are making plans with CAL FIRE and others in the study to do a post-exposure, post-fire blood sample. Those blood samples, one of the things that we're able to look at is microRNA in the blood, and it's a marker of how much DNA damage has been done.
And with the growing frequency and intensity of these catastrophic wildfires, the health of our firefighters is imperative.
A lot of these firefighters expect to at some point get cancer. And they know that what they're doing today is helping future firefighters. Sad to say, they're the canary in the coal mine.
Cancer has affected our local firefighting community.
We've had a number of young firefighters with young families that have passed away from cancer, and it's absolutely devastating. It's no longer the retired folks.
Those involved in the study call for all first responders to have access to the most efficient resources to protect their health.
Here locally, we have a protocol to decontaminate after each incident. Down south, when you're at base camp or you're deployed out, we don't have those resources available.
The team will conduct their study at the Palisades fire for as long as it remains active. Researchers hope to turn this into a multi-generational study and see an improvement in wildland firefighting protective gear, precautions, and interventions in the near future. A recent report highlights that cancer continues to be a leading cause of death among Americans under 85, particularly affecting younger women. Notably, breast cancer rates are rising in women under 50, while cervical cancer cases have increased among those ages 30 to 44. Alarmingly, lung cancer cases in women under 65 have now surpassed men for the first time. Doug is next with a complete look at the forecast. And later, President Biden signs new executive orders on artificial intelligence, including restricting exports of AI chips to foreign countries, and why it's sparking pushback from chip makers and international leaders.
Well, of course, a little bit warmer for us today. Temperatures went into the low to mid 50s across the region. We're going to do this again as we go into your Friday. Great Shot, Cornell, Arts and Entertainment Complex, Tower Cam, of course. We are looking downtown Joplin off toward the north and to the east. Pretty much clear skies. All right, so on Thursdays, new drought tracker. Always updates. We've had the snow on the ground for about the past 10 days. Most of us are dry, but there is a moderate drought from Jasper County up into central Missouri, but way better than what we had just a couple months ago. Temperatures mainly mid to upper 30s to near 40 degrees. And we're pretty close to our overnight lows. We're not going to drop off too much more because we have a light southerly wind starting to increase, and our winds are really going to get going as we get into the daytime hours tomorrow. Gusts 30 upwards to about 35 miles per hour at times. And then here comes an Arctic front. So here's about 9:30, and then behind the front, strong northerly winds. Not as bad on Saturday, but still gusts 20 upwards to 30, and it's going to be very cold outside, so that's going to make it feel even colder than what it actually is. Clear skies, not much going on here. Most of the central plains looking pretty good. Here's our wave. So we have this little guy, and then here's our Arctic air. So these two will come out together and really drop our temperatures as we head into the weekend. So let's go through time. Tonight's calm, mid to upper level clouds. They increase late, overnight lows 36 to about 39. Clouds increase through the morning, so mostly cloudy by noon. We're sitting into the lower 50s. Once we get into the afternoon, I think most of us 55, 56 degrees. Watch our southern counties. Some showers start to pop up, especially along and south of I-44. North of I-44, mainly just clouds. Then as we go through the overnight hours, here comes our Arctic front, a couple little showers with it, and then we slam all the way down into the mid-20s by Saturday morning. Problem is, we just don't really go anywhere. Clouds stick around. Random light snow shower, a few flurries on Saturday, but high temps only near 30 degrees. We clear out Saturday night and we drop all the way down into low to mid-teens. So it's going to get much colder as we go through the next few days. Tomorrow still looks good. 41 start, 55 by noon. High temp right around 56 degrees. Let's go into Sunday. Look at our highs, low to mid-20s. Let's go into Monday. Clouds, maybe a couple snow showers, low to mid-20s. Once again, so it stays cold all the way through a good chunk of next week. 56 tomorrow, 30 on Saturday, only 25 on Sunday, 24 on Monday, and then possibly a wintry mix on Thursday. We'll get into that a little bit more in our second half hour.
I would rather not get into a wintry mix, but if we must.
Yes, we will.
TikTok update coming up.
TikTok has 3 days left to either divest or get banned. Now, hundreds of thousands of so-called TikTok refugees are searching for a new social media home. I'm Lydia Hu with the Fox Business Network. Coming up, what social media app is getting a boost and why lawmakers are concerned.
TikTok users are fleeing to another Chinese-owned app as a potential ban looms, and it's now soaring to the top of the Apple App Store. Fox Business correspondent Lydia Hu has more.
As the Sunday deadline approaches for TikTok to sell or get banned, so-called TikTok refugees are finding a new social media home in another Chinese-controlled app. More than 700,000 new users joined RedNote in just 2 days. RedNote is similar to TikTok with snappy videos and a search function, but there's another reason why these TikTokers are joining RedNote rather than Meta's Instagram or Facebook. They say distrust of American social media. Watch.
Nobody wants to give Meta Facebook, Instagram the time of day. They could have, they could have made it more enjoyable. They could have worked on the algorithm. They could have, not censored as much to feel polarizing in so many ways. And I feel like people are doing everything they can to avoid going to those existing apps because of not just the freedom they felt on TikTok.
Concerns about Red Note are growing. Tech analysts point out it is completely Chinese-owned. Information gathered by Red Note flows directly into China. And the House Select Committee on China already has a skeptical eye on Red Note, writing in a statement this, quote, "Today, a Chinese app wants to be the next TikTok, complete with Chinese control. Parents and social media creators should be aware that the Chinese Communist Party exploits the People's Republic of China-based applications to surveil and censor Americans." But maybe TikTok refugees won't have to leave TikTok after all. President-elect Trump's pick for National Security Advisor, Congressman Mike Waltz, said today that Trump is considering options to save TikTok. And that comes as TikTok CEO Shou Chew is reportedly invited and planning to attend Monday's inauguration. Reporting in New York, Lydia Hu, Fox Business.
And there is word tonight that President Joe Biden won't enforce the TikTok ban set to take effect before he leaves office on Monday. That leaves TikTok's fate in the hands of President-elect Donald Trump. The CEO of Walgreens says locking up merchandise to thwart theft has also turned off paying customers. The company reported an earnings loss of $245 million last quarter. Walgreens plans to close hundreds of stores by the end of this year due to faltering sales. President Biden focuses on cementing his AI legacy with 2 new executive orders. Fox's Eben Brown has more on this edition of our Fox on Tech series.
With just days left in office, President Biden is trying to set the tone for the future of AI in the U.S. This week, he signed 2 executive orders. One directs the Departments of Defense and Energy to find sites where the private sector can build new AI data centers, while the other sets new restrictions on exports of artificial intelligence chips or semiconductors, mandating the chips be sold to American companies.
Our technologies, from artificial intelligence to biotech, quantum, and to advanced semiconductors, they're the envy of the world. And we have made the most significant investments in America and the American workers since the New Deal.
Those semiconductors are the key to making artificial intelligence intelligent. The complicated AI algorithms need the processing power of the chips to work and also to get smarter. For example, basic AI tasks like image recognition and speech processing require special processors built using semiconductor technology. And it is a symbiotic relationship. Those same AI algorithms being powered by the semiconductors can be used to identify any weaknesses in chip designs or manufacturing defects. But the executive order is prompting big blowback from the chip makers and foreign countries that rely on American-made technology to power their own AI.
The U.S. overstretches the concept of national security, politicizes and weaponizes tech issues, and goes after China with ill intentions.
About 20 countries will be exempt from these new restrictions, including Canada, Japan, and most of Western Europe. In Miami, Eben Brown, Fox News.
Just ahead, a mother dog rushes her dying puppy to a veterinarian's clinic. How staff worked quickly to save its life. Look at this security camera video out of Turkey. A female dog carried her hypothermic puppy to a veterinarian clinic. A technician who initially thought the male puppy was dead rushed it inside and detected a faint heartbeat. The team administered an adrenaline shot and warmed the puppy using a hairdryer. They theorized that maybe the mother had earlier followed people who had rescued her other puppy and had him brought to the vet, and the mother dog thought the clinic was a safe place to bring this puppy. The puppy was successfully revived, joining his surviving brother from a litter of 6. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. President Biden delivers a final message to the nation, warning of the threats he believes could challenge democracy. Hear reactions from both sides of the aisle. And Israeli airstrikes in Gaza follow the announcement of a new ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. But a dispute over prisoner exchanges is delaying the deal. What that means for hostages and peace. Coming up.
You're watching the 4 states' most watched news.
In his farewell address to the nation last night, President Biden left Americans with stark warnings before President-elect Trump is back in the White House. But critics point out that President Biden is leaving office with low approval ratings while Trump is coming in with his highest. Fox's Rebecca Castor has more from Washington.
I want to warn the country of some things that give me great concern.
President Biden striking a grim tone in his farewell to the nation Wednesday night, using his final primetime address to warn Americans about the threats posed by the ultra-wealthy and big tech.
Today, an oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that literally threatens our entire democracy.
Biden didn't mention Donald Trump by name, but he's clearly still concerned about his successor and the billionaire tech giants cozying up to him.
In his farewell address, President Eisenhower spoke of the dangers of the military-industrial complex. I'm equally concerned about the potential rise of a tech-industrial complex that could pose real dangers for our country as well.
It doesn't matter what he said tonight, Sean. The American people know his legacy.
And that legacy is mixed. Biden is leaving the White House unpopular with Americans. A recent CNN poll finds only 36% of U.S. adults approve of the way Biden handled the presidency, while a Fox News poll finds Trump is more popular than ever, with 50% of people having a favorable view.
I'd say the greatest threat to democracy is poor governance, and I can't think of one thing that President Biden did well.
His economy is growing, and frankly, where there is a peaceful transfer of power, and that is an accomplishment that this president should be proud of.
Even with the ominous warnings, President Biden says he put the nation in a position to succeed and wished the incoming administration success. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
Firefighters in California are searching through the rubble looking for the missing and recovering belongings for evacuated families. Firefighters are also rushing to extinguish hot spots that could flare up again when strong winds return next week. Investigators are focusing on the cause of the Palisades and Eden fires, with ATF agents and arson teams combing through the suspected origin points. The world is watching and waiting to see if Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will give final approval to a ceasefire deal that could end the fighting in Gaza. Fox News correspondent Trey Yingst has more from Tel Aviv.
Israeli airstrikes killed dozens in Gaza just a day after the announcement of a new ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. Negotiators in Qatar brokered the three-phase deal that would see a pause in the fighting, and the hostages returned home in exchange for more aid and the release of hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. But on Thursday morning, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said a last-minute disagreement is delaying his final approval, and he canceled a planned cabinet vote on the deal.
The Israeli government wants this deal to be finalized, but it cannot be a deal which is correct in some places and not in others.
The sticking point appears to be Israel's demand for a veto over which prisoners would be exchanged for the hostages. Hamas claims that was worked out during the negotiations, and it remains committed to the ceasefire deal.
We are now facing a new phase in our proud Gaza through which we can confirm to the world that we are a free people who build and do not destroy.
Netanyahu could be stalling for time to sell the deal to his more conservative coalition partners. Some have threatened to leave the government if the agreement isn't amended, putting Netanyahu in a difficult position as he also faces pressure from the families of hostages to get the deal done.
We are, as you said, very much in limbo and extremely concerned that our government is not acting in good enough faith to make this happen.
The ceasefire was supposed to go into effect on Sunday, but Netanyahu says there will be no deal until Hamas backs down. In Tel Aviv, Trey Yingst, Fox News.
Doug's up next with a complete look at the forecast and later.
If you live in Kansas, you could start seeing an increase in your bill when you shop. I'm Melissa Alexis, and I'll have more on this updated law.
Well, of course, a little bit warmer for us today. Temperatures, they got up into the mid-50s, which is great. And we're going to do very similar numbers once again for us tomorrow, maybe even a little bit warmer. Nice shot. Cornell Arts and Entertainment Complex, Tower Cam, of course. We are looking in downtown Joplin. Not near as cold for us tonight. We're only going to sit into the mid to upper 30s. Very similar to what we have now. We'll drop off a couple more notches. We're not going to get as cold due to our southerly winds kicking in. So south wind at about 5 to 10, but these are going to get cranking later on tonight. We're going to have winds gusting 30 to 40 during the daytime hours tomorrow. Here comes an Arctic front tomorrow evening, so winds switch to the north. Still windy even on Saturday. Winds are going to be 20 to 30, and our temps only in the upper 20s to near 30 degrees, so it's going to feel much colder. All right, we got clear skies, not a whole bunch going on here. We are tracking our next little wave. You can see a little bit of rain out through parts of Arizona, and then here's our Arctic air kind of building up in southern parts of Canada. So these two combined will push on through. Not much moisture with that guy. We may get a few random showers tomorrow evening, but besides that, pretty quiet. Mid and upper level clouds increase as we get into the morning hours. By noon, mostly cloudy skies, but we're going to be into the 50s. As we get into the afternoon, some showers along and south of I-44, mainly staying dry north of I-44. Showers continue to push east as we go through the evening hours. Here's our front, and with it, we may get a few little showers that pass through. And then our temperatures plummet down into the upper 20s for overnight lows. Bad news, we don't go anywhere on Saturday. We sit upper 20s to near 30. Kind of some spitting flurries out there, maybe a quick snow shower. Clouds will start to break Saturday night. Temperatures will drop back into the low to mid-teens. So it's going to get much, much colder. All right, first off, day planner on your Friday, 41 start, 55 by noon, random shower, and then a high temp of 56 degrees. All right, so the Arctic air is in place. So Sunday, it's not going anywhere. We'll get a little bit of sunshine, but temps into the mid-20s. Let's go into Monday. Clouds increase. We could get a random snow shower or two, mid-20s once again. Finally, by Tuesday, we get back into the mid-30s. Then by Wednesday, we may even approach 40. But here comes our next storm system, which we'll have to watch because it could either be rain, ice and snow, it could be all snow. So we'll have to watch this as it starts to come out late Wednesday into Thursday of next week. Until then, no big storm systems. 56 on your Friday, 30 on your Saturday, only 25 Sunday, down to 11 Monday morning, 24 on Monday. So with that Arctic air moving in, it's going to get bitterly cold once again.
Tomorrow looking okay, though.
Tomorrow looks pretty good.
And the weekend, a good time to stay inside, maybe with a bowl of chili and a football game on the TV.
That's a good idea.
Thanks, Doug. Coming up in sports, Carl Junction High School hires a new softball head coach. Plus, Missouri Southern basketball hosts Central Oklahoma. John Dales has those stories and more coming up next.
Baseball fans. Labette County High School has produced several standout athletes over the years, and this afternoon, the school record holder in the 300-meter hurdles signs to continue her academic and athletic career at Missouri Southern. Labette County High School senior Landry O'Brien signs this afternoon to officially commit to Missouri Southern track and field. O'Brien is a multi-sport athlete for the Grizzlies. She actually began her high school career at Oklahoma Union. The future Lion looks back fondly on her time at Labette County.
I love the switch. Oklahoma Union was a great school, but it was really small, and I loved going to a bigger school, which Labette's not huge, but it is a 4A compared to a 2A, and I loved the coaches. The coaches were great. Volmer has been great. I've just improved so much in all my sports and as a person and academically. I loved Labette a lot. It was a good switch.
Carl Junction has a new leader for its softball program, and it's a name that might be familiar to the Bulldog faithful. Carl Junction High School announces today Mandy Bauer is the new head coach of the Lady Bulldog softball team. She's a 1997 grad of CJ and served as the interim head coach of the softball team this past season. In a press release, Bauer says, quote, "There are exciting changes ahead that'll make being a part of Carl Junction softball a rewarding experience for all of our athletes. CJ plans to open a new softball stadium for the 2025 fall season." Well, Missouri Southern men's and women's basketball are back in Joplin this evening. Both teams are coming off a loss last time out. Missouri Southern women's basketball hosting Central Oklahoma. Lions looking to avenge their loss from over the weekend. First quarter, that's where we start, and Mackenzie Hart gets things going with a step-back triple. That's good. Lions lead it by 5 at that point. A little later in the first half, Southern getting some good minutes from the local product. Grace Frazier, she gets the layup to go. Next possession, here's Frazier attacking the rim again, and she gets another 2 points. The freshman from Diamond, not done there. We go ahead to the second half, and Frazier finds McKenna Yoakley. She gets the easy bucket. Missouri Southern starts to pull away at this point. A little later on, Frazier pulls up for 3, and she connects. She scores a career-high 12 points for the Lions this evening. On to the fourth quarter, Mackenzie Hart creates some space here in the lane. She's going to score again. She led the team with 14 tonight. Missouri Southern bounces back. Lions beat the Broncos 68-52.
The effort was so good, and we just kind of fed off each other as far as our energy and our effort, especially on the defensive end. And then offensively, I thought we did some positive things. Shot the ball fairly well, didn't shoot it well from the 3, but we got to the basket a lot and created some second, third opportunities by picking up loose balls. We got a lot of the 50-50 balls, which in a basketball game, those are huge.
The Missouri Southern men take the floor tonight. The Lions facing a talented Central Oklahoma team. We start early in the first half. Martin Macinas makes a really tough shot on the run here. That gives the Lions a 1-point lead. A few minutes later, Southern starts to attack the basket. Nice pass from Tyreek Brooks to Tyrone Wright. He finishes with the slam. Next Lions possession, Tyreek Jackson fires away a 3-ball, and he buries it. That puts Missouri Southern up by 4. UCO has to call a timeout. Lions offense continues to show out in this first half. Tyrone Wright elevates for his second dunk of the night. That fires up the crowd. We're going to have more from him. Then Wright hangs around the paint, goes up and under, adds to his point total. Tyrone Wright finishes with 14 points this evening, and Missouri Southern goes on to get a much-needed conference victory. They beat UCO 77-71. And both Lions basketball programs, they've been very tough to beat in Joplin. Right now, the two of them have combined for a 12-2 record in home games.
Wow, that's good news for all those fans who go out to support them at Missouri Southern. We'll be right back. An updated Kansas law could affect what you pay when using a credit card. KOAM's Melissa Alexis has more on how this law can impact Kansas shoppers.
As of January 1st, Kansas businesses are legally allowed to add a surcharge for credit card transactions. James Redd, owner of Redd's House Barbecue in Columbus, says as a business owner, he can see how the surcharge can financially benefit business owners.
If we could pass the savings on, we try to, but at the end of the day, we want to make a little bit of money.
But as a consumer,
see, my philosophy is that I'm a consumer first, business owner second.
If there's a surcharge, he might give extra thought about what he really wants before spending.
What would I really want to pay? But then most people, they'll pay for whatever they want if it's worth it.
That's for the owner of Redd's House Barbecue. He doesn't have any plans to start adding a surcharge for people paying with credit cards.
I think when people work hard for something, they want to come out and to indulge. I don't think they're already going to pay a premium price, but I don't think you should try to nickel and dime it per se.
He says he tries to keep prices to margin, and he wouldn't want to add a surcharge that could potentially be strenuous for people in the community to afford.
I know you're supposed to pinch pennies and you're supposed to budget this and budget that, but I don't know, I'm just a community person.
Kansas had a no surcharge statute from 1986 until 2021. That's when it was declared unconstitutional, and it was appealed. This updated law requires that businesses alert customers about the surcharge before the sale is made, and 4% is the maximum surcharge allowed. And as for Redd, as a new business owner, he says his main focus is on the community.
I think that's the lifeline of every small business, just togetherness, family, community.
Reporting in Columbus, Melissa Alexis, KOAM News.
Surcharges for debit cards are still illegal in Kansas and all 50 states. Up next, horror, history, and heartfelt stories hit screens this week with a terrifying transformation in Wolfman, a high-stakes rent race in one of them days, and the true Olympic drama September 5. Plus, new seasons, inspiring stories, and action comedy favorites arrive on streaming platforms. New movies in theaters nationwide and streaming this week include a horror thriller, a comedy, and based on real-life drama. Here's Fox's Ashley Dvorkin.
We were attacked.
Horror thriller Wolfman is in theaters, starring Christopher Abbott and Julia Garner. The story centers around a father attacked by an animal, leading his family to barricade themselves in a farmhouse. But as night approaches, he starts to transform into something unrecognizable.
Do you have the rent?
Keke Palmer and SZA star in One of Them Days, about a woman and her roommate racing against the clock to avoid eviction after her boyfriend takes her rent money.
Were those gunshots?
The based on a true story drama September 5 expands to screens nationwide, starring John Magaro and Peter Sarsgaard. Set during the 1972 Munich Summer Olympics, the film follows the ABC News sports team's live coverage of the Israeli athlete hostage crisis.
What is it we actually do here?
Lumen Industry employees return with season 2 of Severance on Apple TV+.
We felt it was important that there were some answers for the audience. It's also part of this show's fun, I think, is the mystery and the unanswered questions. And so we were always thinking, okay, let's, make sure that we're leaving space for interpretation on things or room to be, figured out.
The champ is here!
Prime Video adds Unstoppable with Jennifer Lopez and Jarrell Jerome, based on the true story of Anthony Robles, a wrestler born with one leg defying the odds to pursue his dreams to become an NCAA champion.
I brought you here so we could fight crime together.
The Nickelodeon series turned feature Henry Danger the Movie is on Paramount+.
I can't believe they were spies.
Netflix has the action comedy Back in Action with Cameron Diaz and Jamie Foxx as former spies who leave the CIA to start a family, forced back to work when their cover is blown. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We're going to leave you with video of 2 sea otters showing off their dunking skills at the Oregon Zoo. Let's make it a great tomorrow.